name's Thomas. I am a drug addict.
Hey, Thomas.
Thank you, Tommy, for asking me to do this tonight. This is really nice, actually, to be honest with you. It's sweet.
Glad you like it, dude.
What?
I'm glad you like
Yeah, I know. The most important person in the room is satisfied. That's me. And we are going to talk about this wonderful third step. So I have a few different experiences with this awesome third step, right? So it's kind of like wonderful, right? You read a little, share a little?
Yeah. You got time.
Okay. Yeah. So it all started in 1986. Shoot, calm down, bro. All right. So, I can remember, man, I've been, my sobriety date is December 26, 2015. And before then, I've been in and out of 12-step fellowships. And every time I would go in there, I'd get a little more burnt up, right? A little more hurt, a little more pain. And I can remember this one time I was in South Florida, and I was in enough pain to ask some guy to sponsor me. And he said yes. And we got up to this third step, right? We got up to this third step, and it was super freaking awkward. And we were in his apartment, and we hit our knees, and I tried to make like small talk. I remember he had like one of the weekend CDs. This is how old I am, Elias. A CD was on the coffee table, and I was like, "Oh, have you listened to that?" And he's like, "Bro, shut up, man. Like, this is serious." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I repeat after him, and I just had, just like everything else in my life up to that point, and most of the times today too, to be honest with you, I have all these high expectations for everything in my life, right? At that point, that's the furthest I ever went in a 12-step fellowship, and I just thought, like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be fixed, right? I'm going to be fixed. And so we did this. We said this prayer. It was super awkward. We opened our eyes, and I just remember feeling the exact same way I did before we did this. And I didn't, like, consciously say this to myself, but looking back, I, like, completely wrote off an entire 12-step program that's been working for, like, 70 years, right? But in my mind, I was like, this don't work. And the reason, in my opinion, it doesn't work, because on page 63 at the very bottom, right, it says, next, we launched out on a course of rigorous action. The next step, which is taking a personal house cleaning. And on 64, I know I'm kind of getting into the next step, but bear with me, which many of us had never really attempted, though our decision was a vital and crucial one, right? It's vital and crucial. It means my life friggin' depends on it. This guy, I cannot remember, gun to my head, I cannot remember if he read that to me or not. He might have. He's still sober today, so I'm assuming he probably did. But I must have blanked out or completely wrote off my feelings, because my feelings are the most important thing in the world. And then inevitably, I started doing drugs again, right? I just got loaded again and burnt my life to the ground. And then you fast forward from that time for like a year and a half later, life gets really bad, right? Really, really, really bad. And I wind up back in my hometown with this stranger in his house, once again, a stranger. And this stranger is talking to me about these steps that I am really not sure works or not. And we skimmed through this book, and we get to page 60. And he says, he starts after he asked me the A, B, and C's, and he goes, being convinced. He asked me if I was convinced, and I don't know, right? I don't know, bro. My life is shit. I don't know what's going on. And he's like, are you convinced that I'm convinced that you need this deal? Is really what he said to me. And I was like, yeah, man, like there was no doubt in my mind, the enthusiasm from this guy's mouth. And I go, yeah, sure, right? And then he goes on to read a little bit. He gave me the cliff notes on this deal because, like every good sponsee, I lie to my sponsor, especially when I first get sober. And he asked me if I did these steps before, and I go, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, what do you? Of course I did, right? And not just because we're going to get into why in a second. So there's a requirement, right? After that sentence, couple sentences down, the first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. And he breaks that down for me, man, because I am a slow learner, and you got to break this stuff down very simple for me. And he lines up the experiences because I made a real bad mistake. Yes, I lied to him about the steps, but I was honest with him for a couple other things, right? So he lined up my life experiences to telling me that's self-will. That's me and my decisions, right? And he goes, how's your life going? And it was pretty evident that my life was not going very well, right? I'm sitting in a stranger's house back in Newport Richey. My wife and my mom had to drop me off at his house like I'm 13 and wait in the driveway for about 10 or 15 minutes to make sure I'm not running out the back door, right? My life is not very good. And then on the next page, right, he breaks down, he talks about this actor. I don't really see what that has to do with my problems and my life, but he tells me I'm this actor, right? And 61, and he tells me, he goes, wouldn't life be real nice if only people would do as you wish? Wouldn't the show of Thomas's life go on great? And like, yeah, absolutely, right? Absolutely it would. And then when they don't do it, what usually happens? My life turns even crappier. I get more burnt up. And then I begin to think that my life doesn't treat me very well. And then, after all those experiences of me getting my hands over everything, what do? I friggin' exert myself some more. And he points all this stuff out to me, right? Because the power of one drug addict talking to another drug addict, right? Like, I know intellectually, I know all this stuff. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Maybe this room, but I'm not the smartest guy in the room. But I'm also not the stupidest guy either, right? So intellectually, I can see this. I can see that I did A, B, and C to get me in this position once again. But it takes another drug addict. There's that power that he connects with me. He connected 20 minutes before we got to this page. He's telling me about himself and what he went through and how he acted. So I bought into what he was selling because I related to him, right? And I forgot where I was going with that. But that power of him relating to me and that power of him pointing it out to me. I need someone else that I trust to tell me, like, yeah, man, look at what you just did. And then you decided to exert yourself more after, from 16 to 29, all of your experiences have shown you that this is the outcome, and you continue to try it. You continue to exert yourself. How can you argue with that, right? How can you freaking argue with that? Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? I don't remember if he went over this. I just know this is as relevant in my life today as it was 9 years ago, right? That could be summed up. I am a victim of thinking I will be happy if I only get my way. That's what it means for me today, right? I to this day, if they only acted like I wanted them to act, if my wife would only act the way I want her to act, I'd have the happiest marriage in all of Pasco County, right? And then going to the next page, he points out very clearly, and I take a little offense to this when it happens, but he tells me I'm selfish, I'm self-centered, and he tells me that is the root of all my troubles. And I am driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows, and they attack me, they retaliate, right? And he tells me that's my problem, that's the problem, right? And again, at this point, at this experience, I'm not understanding most of this, so this is the point of the talk where I'd say, if anyone's new here, I'd be like, so don't worry if you don't get this stuff. But I didn't get any of this stuff when he was talking to me about it. It just, my life sucked, man. My life sucked. I didn't know how to get it better. The only thing I knew that I kept coming in and out of DAA, and I kept coming out of these 12-step fellowships, and you guys seemed to have something going on that I didn't have going on. After 13 years in and out, that was the one thing I was banking on, and this guy seemed to not be bullshitting me. And so he tells me that's the problem, right? And then you go down to 62, and he tells me the answer, right? The answer to my problem. This is the how and why to it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. And I'm like, again, I'm not absorbing any of this stuff, but in my life now, that's exactly what I'm doing. He's everything or nothing that I've come to learn. And that's exactly what I'm doing. When I'm making a big deal out of anything besides God and Alcoholics Anonymous, whatever, bro, I'm making a big deal out of me. In turn, I'm playing God, man, because I'm working for outcomes, right? And it didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is our principal. We are his agents. He is the father. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple. And this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch, which we passed through to freedom. And that first experience with that third step, so he points out all these crap about myself, right? And I believe him. And then we get on our knees on his coffee table, and at the time, he had a coffee table, and it was paper mache with pages of the big book, right? And I remember that was like a lightning bolt of fear in me, because I was like, bro, this dude means business, right? Like, this dude is gonna, like, make me do stuff, and I am the type of guy who does not want to do stuff, right? And so we say this prayer that's on 63, and we open our eyes, right? And he goes, that makes sense. And I swear it felt like 5 minutes of me thinking. It was like a millisecond. I was like, again, I lie. And he's like, bro, he told me some of the most important things, man. He goes, it doesn't have to make sense. That's the good news, he says, Thomas. He goes, this is an understand now, or this is thank God it's not. This is an understand later, do now program, right? And he goes, you know when you're done with the third step? And again, all these rhetorical, stupid questions making me feel more like an idiot. I'm like, no. And he's like, you start a fucking fourth step, man. And that was my experience with the third step for the first real time, right? Because it was just making a decision. That's all he explained to me. It's just making a decision. This is a decision to work with me through the rest of the steps. That's it, right? And that's what I need, man. I come into this deal with a head full of old ideas about, like, what does the third step mean, and thy will, and what is his will for me, and what should I do with that will, right? And no, bro, it's just a decision to finish the work. That's it. As simple as that. And I can work with something simple like that. And then I go on with this work, man, and then my life changes leaps and bounds after doing this work. And today, this third step is more relevant in my life probably than it was 9 years ago. I will be honest with you, because every time, hey, Matt, make room, guys. Matt's coming. So anytime I have the opportunity, I've had many opportunities to go through this work with new guys, and we get on these pages and I start reading, and I'm lining, just what my sponsor taught me to do. I'm lining up their experiences with this book and how their self-will gets them nothing, and they're telling me, and I see myself all over this in areas of my life today, right? And the cool part about this thing, man, when I do this stuff, I do this stuff extremely messy. I need to start calling more people. But when I talk to Jeremy, I do this stuff super messy, man. And when I get out of my own way and do what this program taught me to do, all these amazing promises happen in my life. The third step promises on the top of 63, right? When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer, right? An employer. I have a new boss, right? It's been told to me, I got a job, right? My job is to do God's will. God's job is to take care of Thomas. That's what I got to tell myself throughout the day. Sometimes multiple times a day, man. That is my only job, is to help all his kids, and then he takes care of me. Being all-powerful, he provided what we needed. If we kept close to him and performed his work well, right? I love those ifs in the big book, man. Those are some caveats. You're going to get all these awesome things if you keep close to him, right? And do his work well. Because there's two sides to these promises. I guess my whole sobriety, but I can see it more clarity today. But like when I don't keep close to him and I'm thinking of me and like where I can profit, where I can gain, where I can get a couple of inches, man, I don't get what I need, man. I don't get what I need. I get pretty miserable pretty damn quick, right? But if I keep close to him, I get what I need. And I perform his work well, established on such a footing, I become less and less interested in myself, my little plans and designs. More and more, I become interested in seeing what we can contribute to life. as I felt new power flow in, as I enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we begin to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter. We were reborn. Those are pretty extravagant promises, man. For a guy like me, for guys in this room, I know you all well enough to know those are big fucking promises, right? And peace of mind, I don't even know what that means, man. I have no idea. Lose the fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter? What the fuck are you guys talking about? Right? Like, that's all I do is think about worry about the future, think about what I should have did in the past and how it's going to affect me right now. That's my whole life, right? I do his work well. I help all his kids to the best of my abilities. Poof. That's it. Intellectually, even today, doesn't make too much sense, right? But I do that, and bro, you find me at 11:30 at night when I hit the pillow, I'm out. No worries about nothing. I'm not regretting what I did that day. I'm not friggin' worried about what I got to do tomorrow. I knew I was a good employee to God that day. I don't know, man. I know this is, I don't know if our Canadian friend from Vancouver, what's up, Canadian guy from Vancouver? Give you a shout out. I don't know if you're new or not, but if you are, and you're not in this book with a sponsor, I strongly suggest it. And when you get to this point, man, that's all it is. It's just a decision to go through with the rest of the work. That's as simple as it is. And I hope you do it. And I appreciate you guys letting me talk.
Yeah.